Hello everyone, my name is Ashley and I'm a licensed realtor, and welcome to my channel. If you want more videos on what it's like to be a new agent, and I mean what it's really like to be a new agent, please hit that subscribe button. Today we're going to talk about passing your real estate exam and what to do if you have failed this exam. So you're going to want to stick around for this. Alrighty, y'all. So, first things first, this test is hard. Not going to sugarcoat it any which way. It is a hard test. You're going to want to rip your hair out sometimes, but do not get discouraged. Nothing is impossible. You're probably here because you done failed it one time already. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the tips and tricks in order to get you prepared for the exam and passing it the first time. And even if you didn't pass it the first time, hey, you know what? That's okay. You still have a second time. You still have a third time that you can take it. So let's see what you could have done better. So as far as preparation, I totally recommend doing an exam prep course. So those first 6 classes, get them over with. Know the material enough just to pass those quizzes at the end or tests at the end of each course. Now for the real stuff. Go ahead, if you have the opportunity, do that test prep course. Reason being, if your instructor is an amazing instructor, they are going to break everything down for you A through Z, and they're going to point out some stuff for you. So once you get into this course, if you're not a good note taker, learn to take really good notes. And I don't mean highlight your entire page from top to bottom. I mean highlight the stuff that's really important, and also come prepared. Bring an extra notebook where you'll have room to write out even more information. And I say that because the textbook that you're going to be using during one of these courses, the margins are likely going to be really small. You don't want to open up a textbook to highlight a highlighted page from beginning, middle to end, and then on top of that, extra notes that you tried to squeeze in. So really prepare yourself if you're not a good note taker for this type of course. If you feel like you can handle it all on your own, again, I recommend this 2-day course. Do those practice tests or practice questions until you cannot do them anymore. Go ahead, read the textbook. Whatever book you're using, read it. Read it from front to back. Give yourself time. And that's why it's important not to cram the day before the test. Do not think that this is something you can get done in 10 hours before your exam, or pull an all-nighter like when you were back in high school or back in college. This is not that kind of exam. These questions are intended to trick you, so you really need to know this information front, sideways, and backwards. Now, when you're doing those practice questions, really focus on the right answer. I personally, I didn't focus on any of the other choices. I looked at the question, knew this was right. That's the one I stuck with. That's all I wanted to remember. I only wanted to see what the right answer looked like. So now we've briefly gone over how to take notes. If you're going to go ahead and do that test prep course, because you should. We've gone over really doing those practice questions. Do them until you get them right. If you have to make flashcards because you keep getting stuck on something, do it until you get it right. Make sure you are scheduling your study times. Go ahead and read the textbook. After you read the textbook, dive into that material. Like I said, not something that you want to try to get in all in one sitting. It's a lot. So if you're only going to give yourself 6 hours to study, which I still don't think is enough, go ahead and break it up into increments, because it is a lot of information to cover. And again, these questions are intended to trick you. Now, if you're not a math person, I totally recommend knowing these math questions or really brushing up on your math. When I went to take my test both times, because I did fail it the first time, the national portion the first time. I wanted to know the math because at the end of the day, math is math. You're going to be able to figure out the answer regardless if you know what you're doing. That's why time is important, because it's important to spend the time learning the math. And if you're not good at math, then you really need to spend the time learning the math. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. I know I've actually seen a couple of videos where they're like, skip the math. And for me, I was like, nope, this is one that I really know. So, again, be prepared and prepare yourself up until you're about to take your exam. And then even when you go in to take your exam, it's going to be nerve-wracking. You're still not going to feel like you're 100% prepared, or you may feel like you're 100% prepared, but then once you get to a couple of questions where you're like, I don't know, I'm going to show you how to handle that. So they're going to give you a board or scrap paper depending on where you're at. And it's not going to be quite this big, obviously. You're going to be at a desk, and it might be like right around that size, maybe a little bit bigger. Any formula for the math or any information that you're like, oh my gosh, I know I should know this, or your instructor during that test prep course told you, hey, you really need to know this, but you're having trouble with it, remember it. Once you sit down, you're allowed to write stuff down. Go ahead and write it down. For some reason, I remember something about acreage, like how many square feet are in an acre, something random that I was like, I need to know this number, and I ended up needing to know that number. So you're gonna write it small, and write real small. I mean, if you have the scrap paper that like a whiteboard like this, then you can't erase stuff, but if you don't, you wanna write small so you don't run out of space. Write whatever, whatever information that you need to. Then, when you're actually sitting down to take your test, go ahead, answer the ones that you know right away. The ones that you don't, I was recently informed you can mark it, which I do remember you can still mark it on the computer, but I actually would write it down too. So let's say you didn't know number 11, you didn't know number 13, 14, 15. My list the first time got really lengthy. I was like, I know I could get this many wrong, and I was not 100% confident the first time on a lot of these answers. And it wasn't because I didn't feel prepared. Like, the questions were just weird. I'm like, well, it could be this or it could be that. So anyways, you're gonna write down the ones that you don't know. And then this is why it's important to know the math, because if you brush up on your math and you know it well enough, go ahead and take the time to solve it if it seems simple enough. Because once your confidence level is going down because you're like, wow, I didn't know that many in a row, at least once you get to that math question, you figure it out yourself. Don't look at the answers first. Go ahead and figure it out yourself. Let's say you get an answer of 1.59 for kicks. And then you see one of the answers is 1.59. Go ahead, check your work. And if you've gone through a rut where you didn't know a bunch in a row, then guess what? At least this is one that you're going to know in between. And again, both exams that I got, you needed to know them. So it was important. Now, with that being said, you can fail the first time. You're going to walk out of there, hope for the best. I don't like using that word. Have faith that things are going to go your way. If they don't go your way, do not be discouraged, because I know so many people that have failed this darn test a couple of times before passing. I failed the national part the first time, and I studied my tail off. There was just something about that test that was not clicking with me that day. What you don't want to do, if this is your career, if this is what you want to do, this is that one hurdle. Do not get discouraged and postpone retaking that test. Go ahead, sign up to retake it immediately while everything is still fresh in your brain. Do it. Don't think twice about it, because guess what, y'all? The second time I went in, it was everything I had studied. It was everything I had prepared for. It was the test that I should have gotten the first time. So yeah, nobody needs to know that you failed it. Nobody's going to ask you, oh, how many times did you fail before you actually got it? All anybody's going to care about, oh, you got your real estate license? Awesome. So yeah, good luck if this is going to be your first time taking the test. I know you can kill it. I know that you got this. And if it's even your second or your third time, brush up on your studying skills. Really figure out what areas, because at the end of the test, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, they show you which areas you really need to focus on. Read up on it. Still get your good night's sleep the night before, because guess what? You won't have to retake both of them if you didn't fail both of them. It'll only be one or the other. So there's a silver lining. And guess what? You just need to know this information long enough to get your real estate license. So good luck. I know you have this. If this is your second go around or your third go around, you can still do this and you can still get your license, but do it immediately. Go ahead and get it scheduled and do it immediately. Thank you guys. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you have any feedback for me, I would greatly appreciate a comment from y'all. For more videos just like this, hit subscribe. My name is Ashley, and go pass your real estate license exam. Do it.